guys, and welcome to today's video. So today we're going to be playing with some Crafters Workshop stencil butter and a printable from my Etsy shop. I will list all my colors down below for you guys. As you can see, this is a really shimmery, creamy, little thick paint that is from the Crafters Workshop. Look at those colors. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a palette knife and putting it on a little scrap of acrylic. You could put it on anything like a palette or a palette paper or even a paper plate. But I wanted to be able to grab it with this little card that I have left over. It's actually from NAMTA. And so I wanted to be able to do the credit card scrape technique. I like this technique because it gives a really great grunge, because you can see I'm not getting full coverage. I'm getting some lines, but look at that shimmer. And it's one of those, when it dries, it's actually going to stay really shimmery. Now you're going to notice I'm actually going to dry it with my heat gun between each color. I'm doing that because I want each of the colors to really stay independent, and if I did it while they were both wet, they would mix together, which sometimes that's great, but sometimes it's not. So I'm making sure with my scrapes to do some heavy pressure so I get thick lines, some light pressure so I get just kind of more smears, and then making sure to change my position, sometimes going horizontally, sometimes going vertically. It just adds a bunch of interest and a bunch of detail, and I'm making sure to leave some white space, because that white space is going to allow our colors to pop even more, because it has something to play off of. It has that light space. It's almost like automatic highlights by leaving a little bit of that white space. So I am loving, we all know this is my color palette. We all know that anything in that 80s turquoise, pink, yellow, lime green thing is my jam. So this is my first time playing with these. Well, I say that's first time playing on YouTube with them. I did get to play with them a little bit for the first time when I was at the NAMTA trade show, which is where I've been and then recouping from. It's why I haven't done a video in a while. But they are just so creamy and yummy. I use them on a gel plate, which will be in a video soon. But this, I just wanted to kind of show you the texture and show you the shimmeriness kind of by itself. And so this is the Pearl White Stencil Butter, and I'm actually going to pull out an actual stencil. This is my stencil, Hexagon, repeating Hexagon from my Etsy shop. I'll list that below for you guys. And I'm using that credit card again, just through the stencil to give that really cool Hexagon texture. You can see I actually got those Hexagon art foamies out because I intended to use those too, but I decided to go with the stencil instead because I wanted to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of depth. Nothing crazy, just 3 little spots, and the white kind of breaks up all of that bright color. Again, just like we talked about, leaving the white space of the page acts like highlights. This is acting like highlights as well on our page. I am absolutely falling in love with stencil butter. I mean, how can you go wrong? It's creamy, it's dreamy, it's shimmery, it's super easy to use. So now I've grabbed the lime green, I believe this is what it's called. I don't know, I can't find it right now. And then I'm using another stencil from my collection called, I think it's Random Scribbles. I don't know, I can't remember. I'll list it below. And I wanted to just add another darker color because all my other, well, darker is relative, I know. And just adding some little dots in there. This is actually a key card from a hotel, but you can use an old gift card, an old credit card, or even your palette knife. But I like the chunkiness of using something like this because I can get more done at a time. And you can kind of, and I had some leftovers, so I'm just kind of adding it here and there. And you can kind of see I've left a little bit of a space in the middle. That's because that's where I know I was going to put my focal point for this particular project. And while we're talking about focal point, our word in this verse is focus. And we are in Proverbs 4, verse 25, and it says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you." And so I wanted to use my vintage camera printable to kind of reinforce that idea of keeping your eyes focused and keeping you straight ahead and keeping your gaze focused. Because of course, when you are doing photography, you can't be moving the camera around if it's not a camcorder, because then you're just going to get blurry pictures. And so I wanted to reinforce that idea of focus by using the camera And I've actually just printed it on some clear sticker paper from Cricut. And so I've kind of pulled out the two that I wanted to try. I wasn't 100% sure which camera I wanted to fit into that space. I really did like both of them. And then you can see I'm kind of playing around. And this is what I think is really important if you're using a printable, even if it's on sticker paper, to cut it out with the sticker still on the back. And that way you can play around. You can figure it out. You can move things around. This clear sticker paper makes it really easy to do that. I'll link it below. I have heard some people like a brand, I believe it's called Mako. I could be wrong. Drop a comment if I'm wrong. But I believe that's the brand that a lot of people actually prefer. This happened to be just the one that I had on hand. So I've pulled out my gel plate with some black paint. You could also do this with black ink, but since I'm using a foam stamp, I just wanted to tone down the brightness of my background a little bit. I know that seems weird for me to say, but especially since I was using that black camera, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't the only black on the page, because then it would feel kind of weird and feel out of place. So I just added a few little stamps of that. It's called Fractured Lines. It's from Art Foamies. I'll list it down below for you guys. And so I just wanted to use it to just add a little bit of elements of black. I wasn't trying to do anything huge or graphic. I just needed a little pop of black so that my camera wasn't lonely. And so here I'm taking the pearl white stencil butter and just with my finger kind of lightening that area where I know my camera is going to go. I noticed that when I was playing with which camera to put down, that they blended a little too much with that clear sticker paper into my background. And so I'm adding that layer just to lighten that area just a little bit so that my black camera pops a little bit more. And off camera, you can't see, but I am struggling to get the sticker paper off the back of my clear sticker. It is not the easiest in the world to do. If you have a trick, holler at your girl and let me know. So you can see how by adding that little bit of lightness, that little bit of white behind it, gives that black something more to pop off of. So I'm loving that. And just grabbing a quick Faber-Castell pen so that I don't forget what verse we are on. Again, we're in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 25. And we are actually, I don't think I mentioned it yet, we are actually playing in the Illustrating Bible, the Psalms, and Proverbs. So if you're looking at getting an Illustrating Bible, I know it can be super expensive and it's super heavy, but this is the Psalms and Proverbs, and then they also make the Gospels in a book by itself. So good ideas. I think they're both under like $35 each. I'm looking for stickers off screen right now, so this is a perfect time for me to talk about Bibles. I couldn't decide on what stickers I wanted. But this one, like I said, is the Psalms and Proverbs. I want to say it was around 30 to 35. So it's a great start if you want a larger format illustrating Bible, but don't have the $100 to spend on it. It's a really great place to start. And it's always good to document in the Psalms and Proverbs. So I couldn't find stickers that I liked, so I'm going to kind of fake them a little bit. So this is just a piece of clear acetate that I'm taking the letters that I need. Now, what's actually kind of funny is these letters actually do match my whole little my color scheme. So what I'm doing is I'm putting them on acetate, but then I realized I need to de-stickify them just a little bit. So I'm actually taking them back off very carefully, and actually you can't see, but I'm sticking it to my shirt just to kind of decrease the stickiness a little bit, because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to transform them into a different color. So I'm actually using a little bit of black paint and my brayer, and the reason I'm not just completely painting them black is because those colors that are in there do kind of match my color scheme a little bit, and so I didn't want to make them solid black. I wanted to keep some of that color popping through to give it a little bit of a distressed kind of note, and that's why I did it that way. So off screen, I'm actually just drying it a little bit with a heat gun, which you do have to be careful on that piece of acetate. So that piece of acetate is actually left over from it's actually left over from one of my gel plates that I recently got. And so save those. They're super useful to use for paint, as palettes, for all sorts of things. So I actually save all of mine. Some people even make shaker cards with them, but since I'm not a card person, I never have, but the idea sounds fun. So I accidentally tore my O, so I'm having to repair it and do a new one real quick. But I really wanted to have these big chunky letters to have that word focus. So it's kind of interesting. So this Bible is in the New International Version. So it doesn't say, it says, let your eyes look straight ahead. In other versions when I picked this verse, it said, focus your eyes. And so when I chose the word focus to be the focus, I didn't realize that this particular translation didn't use the exact same word, but that's okay. I mean, the idea is still there. The idea of focusing your eyes or looking straight ahead. I think it works. So I am getting my letters and putting them kind of curved around my little camera so that my camera is kind of focusing on the word focus, and that kind of made me happy. I'm loving the way this is turning out. However, I thought the letters were maybe a smidge too dark, like they were kind of hovering on the top of my page, I guess you could say. So this is a new brand of markers. They've been around in the UK for a while, but they're called Edding, and I found them and fell in love with them at NAMTA, so I'm planning on buying the full set. This is the smallest nib they have, but they write beautifully. So look how well it is writing on top of that plastic, which is that clear sticker paper. They come in all sorts, like 4 different nibs, beautiful colors. Be looking for a video on those soon, so I'm super excited about them. But I wanted to kind of blend those letters into my background a little bit, just so they didn't feel like they were hovering on top. And of course, every good Carrie page has some scribbles because, hello, it's me. So I'm just, again, working to add a little bit more of that black into the background, and give my little hexagon some pop, and then spread the black around a little bit. I think a lot of times people will use printables or use stickers, and they all feel like they're floating on top. But by adding those scribbles and adding that little bit of extra paint, it really makes your project kind of more harmonious and feel like one solid picture instead of a bunch of pictures kind of put together, if that makes sense. So I think we are pretty close to being done, but I wanted to add, of course, a little bit more pink. So this is another one of the Edding markers, and this is just kind of just adding some extra texture and some extra scribblies. So that is our finished page. I hope you are loving it as much as I am and loving the shimmer and the creaminess and the fun of stencil butters. I will leave all my information down below. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing day, guys.